report. Okay, here we go. Recording now, January 10th, review session, Accounting 201. So we're on the home screen and I wanted to show you, here we go. I wanted to show you that I will be doing announcements. I'll send an announcement out typically around the review sessions, but they will also relate to any deadline that we have. I'll remind you about the review sessions, and then after the review sessions, I will send out an email saying, hey, here's the link to the recording. So if you can't attend, you can watch the recording. All right, so just be aware of that. If you have to ask a question, your voice will be heard. All right, and then here's our home page, and it shows all the deadlines to the right. And then this is a pretty simple page telling you what to do. A lot of you have already gone through this, I'm sure. The important thing on the home page is you have a quick link to my office hours, which are here. It's always going to be on Zoom. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the big days for office hour. And please don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to send me an email and say, hey, I need to talk to you now for 5 minutes. I can't always do it because I tend to spend a lot of time on committees and in meetings, but I'll do my best. Or we can just communicate on email. I'm on email a lot. 2 sets of office hours on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, and 1 on Thursday, okay? And then you just click to join. And I don't remember if you need this password or not. Some students do, some students don't. All right. Okay, so you're gonna, I know a lot of you use your phones. So to do your Canvas on, and I wish you didn't, but that's just how things go in this life. And so I should set up a poll right now. I'm gonna do a new one. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. Never mind. I'm gonna go back to where I was. Hold on. Here we go. All right. I was going to set up a real quick poll for you guys, but I'll do it later. I know a lot of you use your phones to know what your deadlines are in Canvas. And I really, really want to encourage you. I really want to encourage you to use the calendar app on the side. As I told my students, my live students, I teach Accounting 202 on campus, and I teach international business on campus this quarter. My daughter, one of my daughters has ADHD, and she's 25 years old. She's successfully working, but she said the best thing she learned as a tool for keeping track of deadlines was a paper calendar. So I actually print out the calendar on paper, and you can see it right here. And after I have graded something, this is your class's calendar. After I've graded something, I highlight it and check it off. And it gives me a visibility of the whole week and the whole month of what's due. So I just want you to know that, take it from somebody who has attention issues. And I think most of us do now with all the social media and everything. A paper calendar really helps. So I gave you the first copy of the paper calendar in the syllabus packet. You can print it out and use it. And then if you want to print out future months calendars, just right click and then print. So, okay. So that's my speech on paper calendars. But you guys have done introducing yourself on Padlet. I really enjoyed reading your introductions. You've taken the syllabus quiz, and most of you did the chapter 1 homework on Wiley. So my question is, do you guys have any questions about the homework first? And then the quiz, is it only open on the due date? Is it possible for us to have it open early during the weekend? The quiz has a limited window for issues of confidentiality and keeping it secure. So I usually give a 24-hour window on the quiz. It usually opens at midnight and closes that same day, 11:59. So that's a good question. Okay. And then go back to the home page. All right. Okay. And any homework questions that you guys might have. So you've started in with units and modules. You've done all the, yes, Naomi, that's a homework and practice homework are good to review for the quiz. I would say if there's any general vocabulary terms, you should review those also. So I sometimes put a few theory questions into the quiz, and the quiz is closed book. Okay. So getting started, you guys have done all that. You've been out to Wiley Plus, you've done the introduction. And one thing I want to say is if you can use a computer to navigate the course, it's going to give you a big picture more. So go back, everything's under units and modules. So here we are, chapter 1. And you guys have done the homework, and here's the quiz right here. Okay. And the quiz, as you guys know, will require lockdown. And then both the homework and the quiz, they don't let you jump into that until you view the videos. So they'll lock you out if you haven't done the videos. Okay. So you can see it's available at midnight until, so 23 hours and 58 minutes. Okay. Please note that you get 2 attempts on the quiz. If you do the quiz a second time, it won't be like the syllabus quiz. It will scramble, and there could be different questions the second time around. So how did you guys feel about the homework?
Actually, I have a question about the quiz.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that the questions might change. On the first attempt, will it show us what we got wrong?
I have to think about that. Let's see. Leave student view. Let me check. Let me check. Show correct answers immediately. Yes, it will.
Okay, thank you.
And Iris, where's lockdown browser? You will start the quiz. You'll say start, but you won't actually start the quiz until you download lockdown. Okay. So you'll have an opportunity to download lockdown browser at that time. Any other questions on the quiz? How did you guys feel about the homework? You're welcome, Iris. Did you want to go over any homework questions? Do any review on the homework? So the homework questions, knowing the difference between a sole prop partnership corporation, knowing these terms, matching, understanding what is an account. And do you guys know the definition of an asset? Yes, it does, me. So be sure you have a calculator handy when you do the quiz. What is the definition of an asset? In your own words, what would you say is an asset? What makes cash an asset? What makes inventory or supplies or equipment an asset? You can put any words in the chat or speak out loud. Go ahead, Kasim.
I was just gonna say they're like resources owned by a business that can help generate like revenue.
Absolutely. So it's how you create revenue. So you're saying we need to buy inventories at $100 so we can sell it at $175. And that $75 is going to be the difference. And some of that is going to cover the salesperson's salary or the rent on the building. But after all those other operating expenses are covered, hopefully we make a profit. We make net income on it. So resources, and then liabilities and stockholders' equity are the source of the resources. How did we pay for them? We either did debt, which is another word for liabilities, or equity, where we got people to buy into the company and become part owners. Okay. And then revenue. So the word revenue is kind of confusing. I tell my students in class, sometimes people not in accounting use revenue incorrectly. Revenue is your selling price, and it's the total of everything you sold at your selling price. Okay. Before you've subtracted any cost, So think about my inventory example. We sold the inventory at 175. The inventory cost 100. That gave us $75. Maybe our overhead costs, our salary, our rent, that was another $30. So let's say 75 minus 30, we made net income of $45. Okay. That's net income, but revenue is the top line, $175. Okay. And then expenses are things we've used up. So the cost of the inventory, cost of goods sold, anything with the word expense, salary expense, rent expense, supplies expense. Okay. I think I cut my question off there. So how do you guys feel about making balance sheets? Are you comfortable with that? There was a question I got earlier today, and it was from a student who said she had trouble making a balance sheet. I'll just throw it up there and see if you guys had the same question. So when you go to your homework, I just want to point this out first. So let's go look at chapter 2 homework. Chapter 2 homework is under chapter 2 module. Here's chapter 2 homework. Now, if you've watched your videos, you can open assignment and you can take the homework online. But if you want to look ahead and see what problems are on the homework, download this document, the homework questions. And it tells you chapter 1 and chapter 2, it lists all the chapters and it names what is going to be on your Wiley Plus homework. So brief exercise 2-1, brief exercise 2-5. Then you can open up your Wiley textbook and look at your questions in advance, and you can practice them first on paper before you go in and do them on Wiley Plus. Naomi has a question. Are we going to make a balance sheet or anything similar on the quiz? I don't have all the quiz questions memorized, but I believe the answer is yes. So you should be able to do assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity and make it all balanced. Okay. So that's the question I wanted to bring up. So thank you. So let's look at exercise question 2-8. Okay. So I'm going to open up the textbook here and see if I can open it up. And when you're using the Wiley textbook, it just starts in, but go here to this, they call this the hamburger icon. So click on that. And then you come down to chapter 1. And then here's chapter 1, the major learning objectives. And then here we have end of chapter homework. Okay. And it's separated questions, brief exercises, and problems. So your homework is mostly going to consist of brief exercises, and problems. Okay, so here's the exercise. So let's look at 1-8. And here's exercise 1-1. So let's keep going. And the first number is the chapter. All right, here's 1-8. Now I don't want all of this here. It's kind of confusing my screen. So I'll click here again. And for some reason it moves the page. But here we go. Exercise 1-8. Here's a list of accounts. It's got everything in it except retained earnings. Okay. So I want to list accounts one at a time, and you guys tell me asset, liability, or stockholders' equity. So just put it in the chat. And what is accounts receivable? Put it in the chat. You can direct message me, or you can just send it to everybody. Neat, good. Cousin, good. Accounts payable. What is accounts payable? Good, good. Liability, interest payable. What is interest payable? Good, good, good. So you guys know this. Salary and wage expense. What kind of account is that? It's an expense. Good. Notes payable. Good. Liability. Common stock. And if you just want to put A or L or SE, you can do that. What is common stock? Good. Common stock is equity, not an asset. Inventory. What is inventory? Yay. Okay. Cash. Oh, please know this one. What is cash? It's an asset. Good. Supplies. Yes, it's an asset. So supplies haven't been used up yet. Maybe it's paper, maybe it's printer cartridges, but they haven't been used up yet. They have a future value, okay? After you've used up the supplies and they're no more, but you have to account for them, you call it supplies expense. And we'll talk more about that in chapter 3 and 4. All right, unearned service revenue. Unearned service revenue. Unearned service revenue is an odd account. It is a liability. And the way it works is if a customer prepays for something, like let's say you want to go to a Seahawks game. So you buy a ticket to the Seahawks. It costs you, I don't know what a Seahawk tickets cost, $200? I don't know. So you buy a ticket. The Seahawks record that cash went up, we got cash, but they can't call it revenue. They can't call it ticket revenue because it's in the future. So they set up a liability account and they say it's unearned revenue until we provide the game, until we play the game. So it's a liability. They owe you the game. And that's what unearned service revenue represents. A customer's prepaid for something. All right. Service revenue. Yes. Good, good, good. Okay. Service revenue. Salary and wages payable. Good. Depreciation expense. It is an expense. And equipment. Good. Okay. So I want you guys, I know you did this on your homework, but you don't have your homework in front of you right now. I want you guys to give me total assets. Can you do that? Add up the assets and give me the total assets. Hi, Brooke, welcome. We're just doing a practice.
Hi. Okay, sounds good.
So I asked everybody to look at exercise 1-8. It was on your homework, but I'm assuming you don't have it in front of you. So I'm asking people to please give me total assets. So add up, give me the number for total assets. And in chapter 1, we talked about the statements, and we start with income statement, then we have the retained earnings statement, and then we have the balance sheet. But they're not giving you any of that. They're just giving you a list of accounts here and telling you to do a balance sheet. So give me the number for total assets and do a direct message if you think of it. And then I can tell you right away if you're correct. And if you have total assets, give me total liabilities. We've got 2 correct answers so far. Anybody else?
Wait, what are we supposed to be doing again? Sorry.
No worries. The question is, give me the total assets for exercise 8.
Oh, thank you.
You bet. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask. It's good. I've got 2 correct for total liabilities. Got some good question. I'm going to direct message you my response. All right. Okay, so let me review total assets with you guys. See if I can bring that up here. Okay. I just want to see that. Okay. So here's assets. Okay. Can you guys see the spreadsheet? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So here's assets, and we list and cash is always first. So always put cash first, and then accounts receivable. When we get into chapter 2, you're going to see that order is really important. Supplies, inventory, and then equipment, big assets, equipment, land, buildings, put those towards the bottom. And then we add all those up and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 50. Okay. So what's not here? There's other things are not here. So if I can, I can move this over a little bit. So the accounts that we didn't use, we used 5 accounts here. The accounts that we didn't use are either are another category. They're either going to be liabilities, they're either going to be stockholders' equity, or they're going to be revenue and expense. And revenue and expense don't belong on the balance sheet. It only lives, revenue and expense only live on the income statement. So here's something I really want you guys to know. If you get a list of accounts, and the question is, make an income statement, or make an income statement, a retained earnings statement, or a balance sheet. The accounts can only go to one of those statements. Okay, they can't go to 2 statements. It can't be on the income statement and the balance sheet. Okay, they either go on revenue and expense accounts go on the income statement, assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity go on the balance sheet. Now, the retained earnings statement is a little different because we're calculating the ending balance of retained earnings, and it does go on the balance sheet and the retained earnings statement. Okay, so I want to talk through how we got the rest. So let me put that down. So total liabilities, anything with a payable is going to be a liability. So accounts payable, interest payable, note payable, salary and wages payable. And then this unearned service revenue is also a liability. So total liabilities, 37,375. Okay. All right. Stockholders' equity, the list of accounts only gives us common stock. All right. It only gives us common stock. So we know, I'm going to make this smaller here so you can see it. We know total assets We know total liabilities. So we have all these numbers, total assets, total liabilities, and we know common stock. Okay, but we don't know retained earnings. So this becomes an algebra problem where you have to back into retained earnings. We also know that total liabilities and stockholders' equity has to be equal to total assets. That's the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So we know what this number has to be. So to get to this 35,375, we take the total asset number, which is going to be the total liabilities and stockholders' equity number, subtract liabilities, and subtract common stock, and that gives us retained earnings. Okay. Does everybody, do you guys see that? So we're going to show that here. 1, 2, 3, 450 minus 375 minus 50,700. And that's going to equal 35,375. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? So yeah, you should be able to pull together a simple balance sheet. And I put it in red just to show that it's a calculation. All right. Okay, let's go back to the agenda. So you guys are curious about the quiz, study your home, go back and do the practice quiz. I'm sorry, go back and do the practice homework. Go back and look at just kind of the problems at the end of your chapter that have solutions on them. So this textbook, this is the Kimmel accounting textbook. It does a really good job of, let's see, close that down. It does a really good job of giving you practice questions at the back. So let's go into this table of contents here. Chapter 1, review and practice. Okay, so they have practice multiple choice questions, practice brief exercises, and problems. And then you get the solution right away so you can check your work. Okay. And then let's just take a quick look at the financial statements because I think they're interesting. So the book example is retained earning, Sierra Corporation, and it's revenue. You can see the total revenue there. Expenses, they add up to 7,740, and net income. Next, we go to retained earnings statement. And I want to tell you that if the problem gives you a beginning balance in retained earnings, you will use it. So if the beginning balance is $175, put it here. But if a company is in its first month of business, its beginning balance is going to be 0 because retained earnings, as you can see, has net income in it. Well, the first month of business, the first day of business, there's no net income yet. So it's going to be 0. But for all the future months, there's going to be a beginning balance. And you add net income, you subtract dividends, and that's the ending balance, 2360 in retained earnings. And the retained earnings statement is a bridge between the income statement and the balance sheet. So we're going to come down to the balance sheet here. Sorry, there we go. And you can see that retained earnings 2360 comes in here. Okay, but we didn't have that for that last problem we just did. So we had to subtract and do some algebra to get it. So this is a really good example of order. You can see cash is first, then accounts receivable, supplies, prepaid insurance, and then equipment. And you're going to learn in chapter 2 that it's in order of liquidity. And that means how fast you're going to turn it into cash. So cash is already cash. Accounts receivable, we're going to collect it in 30 or 40 days. So that's very close to cash. Supplies, we're not converting supplies to cash, but it also means if you're going to use it up. Okay. If you're going to use it up quickly, and we do that with supplies. And then insurance, and then equipment. We usually keep equipment for 3 to 5 years, so it has a longer life. And here's the liabilities, and then stockholders' equity. Okay, so those are the three statements.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the quiz, are we allowed to use our notes that we write down like on a piece of paper?
No, it's a closed book, and that's what the lockdown is for. So
Okay.
it'll flag if it looks like you're looking at notes.
Oh, so if we like bring a piece of paper, like just a blank sheet of paper with us, will that be fine too? Just like write
Yeah,
things down
just
on-
hold it up to the camera, show both sides to the camera,
Okay.
and then it'll
Okay.
be okay.
Okay.
So the question is, where does inventory go? Typically, supplies comes first, then inventory, but I've seen it both ways. So I would put supplies first. So let's confirm that. Let's go to chapter 2, Naomi, and just look at what the book says, because sometimes the books are a little inconsistent. Okay, here's the classified balance sheet. And that's, how did they do it here? They put inventory, then supplies. Okay, let's do inventory first. Inventory first, then supplies. Okay. So as you go into chapter 2, I know you're all focused on the quiz tonight, and you should be. As you go into chapter 2, I want you guys to maybe print out the Franklin balance sheet, because it's going to really help you as you go for this chapter 2 and then forward as we use the classified balance sheet. So the classified balance sheet, you still keep your eye on this. You still have total assets. You still have total liabilities. You still have total stockholders' equity. You still have total liabilities and stockholders' equity. But now we classify within those categories. We classify current assets, long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, intangible assets, current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and then stockholders' equity doesn't change. It's the same as it was in chapter 1. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. And in chapter 2, and in my chapter 2 video, I explain what makes it go into what category. Okay. Why is something a current asset? The definition of a current asset is an asset that's going to be used up like supplies or inventory, or turned into cash within 1 year or less. Okay, if it's longer than a year, like equipment has a 3 to 5 year life, it's going to be not a current asset. Long-term investments come between current assets and property, plant, and equipment. And most companies do not have long-term investments. Most companies do not have long-term investments, okay? Long-term investments are what you do if you have so much cash, you want to make money off of it. So you invest it in the stock market, or maybe you loan somebody money, and that's a debt investment. You loan another company money. But most companies don't have a lot of extra cash, okay? If you need cash, these are the first things you're going to cash in and sell if you need cash. Okay. Next comes property, plant, and equipment, which is property is land. Plant is another word for factory, but we just use it to cover all buildings, and then equipment. And then there's a new account, accumulated depreciation. And that account, I'm just going to flag it here. That account is going to be subtracted. And accumulated depreciation tells you how much time has gone by so that the value of the asset has gone down. So as time passes, the value goes down. No, you do not, Naomi. I'm just giving you a quick overview of chapter 2. Intangible assets are things you can't touch, but they still have value, like a patent. And then current liability has got to be paid. See you later, Neat. Glad you could stop by. Something you've got to pay in a year. Long-term liability is something you've got to pay past a year. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop sharing real quick. And I want to go over to, would you guys like any other review? Would you like to go over the accounting equation? Does anybody need to talk to me one-on-one? I'd be happy to go into a breakout room if you want to talk about something individually. But typically this is what I'll do on Tuesday. I'll go over some of the material that we've learned and answer any questions on the homework.
Yeah, I just have one more question.
Sure.
For the
Kelsey.
upcoming exams, will there be study guides, or will we just study from the textbook like we are doing for the quizzes?
Okay, let's go over that in more detail. Let's see if I can bring that up. Okay, I'm going to bring up this. Okay. Sure. That's a really good question, Kelsey. Okay, so let's go into units and modules. Can you guys, am I sharing my screen? Yeah. Can you guys see this?
I can see it.
Thank you. I have actually talked at length in detail, and I'm not sharing my screen. So as you look at units and modules, of course, you have the intro. You've done that. And if you can see these three blue, these are called tiles. You can see these three blue tiles. At the end of these three tiles, and they're going to be very similar: homework, quiz, practice, homework. And then, of course, the projects will be mixed in with these. And we're going to be signing up for our companies next week. At the end of the same color tiles, there will be a unit exam. So we're starting chapter 2. You guys are starting chapter 2, homework, quiz, practice. And then here we're going to start on our assignments with the project. So back to units and modules. That's chapter 2. Let's look at chapter 3. All right, now, homework, quiz, practice. We're going to do a project during the chapter 3 module on Monopoly. We're going to play Monopoly. And then we start in with account ID quiz, and that's to help you prepare for the unit exam. And then here's the practice exam. So I will be giving you a study guide through the practice exam, and it's practice problems that'll help you study for the exam. What I tell students is, be sure to review your homework for the 3 chapters in the unit first. Be sure to look at the practice problems first, and then go into the practice exam. And then you're going to get the most out of it. Some students do none of that. They just start in on the practice exam. And what I tell students is, if you really memorize the practice exam, you'll probably pass the test. You may not get an A, but you will probably pass the test.
Can we take the practice exam as many times as we want?
Yes, it's actually a paper exam. You're not submitting it.
Okay.
The way it works is, I'll show it to you. So if we click on this, I'm not sure it's open for you yet. Yeah, it's locked until January 22nd. Okay.
Okay.
But let me show you what it looks like. Solutions are available Tuesday afternoon before the exam. Download the practice exam, and then we set it up as a discussion board, and you do it as a class. So you want to make sure you personally do every question on the practice exam. And then you come out to the discussion board and you post a solution, and then you check some solutions as well. So, but here's the exam instructions. Okay. Oh, I got to change the room. They moved us. Here, it'll list the room. I'll have the campus maps, and exam 1 covers 1, 2, and 3, and so forth. If you live more than 100 miles, you can take a remote proctor for your exam. But essentially, closed book, closed notes, and I'll be in the room with you guys for the first exam. So you can ask me any questions during that. No cell phones, bring a writing utensil, calculator, bring photo ID, and so forth. So yeah. And the exam is 100 minutes long. Okay. All right, we have another question. And Naomi's asking, what would you suggest is the best way to review for quizzes? Are the practice and homework assignments enough, or do you suggest extra material such as the videos or textbook? Naomi, the quiz is worth 5 points out of a total points for the quarter of around 500 and something. I would suggest the best way is definitely to review the practice homework. And you can do the practice homework up till the Tuesday before the exam. So you can do it more than once. And it has 4 sets of numbers in the practice, so you should be able to get some practice out of there. I would also take a glance at the statements, income statement, retained earnings, and balance sheet. I would also look at some of the vocabulary terms, you know, sole proprietorship, corporation, partnership, that kind of thing. Anything else from anybody? And if anybody wants to, does anybody need to talk one-on-one? All right, so we got about 2 more minutes, but I can't think of anything else to say. So I am going to sign off unless you guys have any more questions.
I think you asked me to stay after class to talk about.
We'll stay. We'll stay,
Okay.
Brooke. Yeah, that's good. Anybody else besides Brooke needs to stay? All right, guys, I will see you later.